Eastern Illinois head coach Josh Oakley. Coach, tell us, what are you most looking forward to about your team entering the 2024 soccer season?
Well, obviously, it's always good to get back on the pitch for the fall season. So, and Eastern Illinois soccer made a stride forward. We'll say it like that last year. So, I think maybe the first time, even though they're very very slight and very small, I think maybe the first time in a long time around here, there's somewhat of a small expectation to things in the fall, and that's a direct result to the way our team closed the OVC season and started the playoffs last year. So that is in and of itself very exciting, but it's very hard around a place like Eastern Illinois to have constant expectations of the highest level. So we have to do our very best job of kind of tamping down that and just trying to get back to what makes us us, and that's hard work and working for each other and that. But anytime you have a new season, especially coming off a good, like I said, end to the last season, it's exciting.
You talked about that improvement. When you take over as a head coach of the program, like, do you look 5 years? Like you have a plan? I know now, like with the transfer portal, people think everybody can just win after one season. But what was sort of your thinking when you took over? Like, how am I going to turn this around?
Yes, certainly. I've been at very similar situations at different levels of college soccer, but really very, very similar. But like to your point, Kyle, for sure, the difference is, and the differences are very vast now than it even was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I think we've tried to establish kind of a live for the moment type of mentality last spring, going into the summer with all the surety really about NCAA Division One athletics in general. So we've tried to kind of really preach that it's a privilege every day, and you have to enjoy the moment instead of getting too caught up with the 3 year plan, the 5 year plan. Those are always things that are mentioned, and always things that are thought about. But right now, I think we've tried to tune our way of thinking and our philosophy into the now, into what happens at training this afternoon, and try not to go too much farther beyond that. And it really kind of harkens back to what I was talking to you about. The league, we know it's going to be so much better this year than it even was last year. And last year we had some really brilliant teams in the league. I mean, housed the top 25 team in the OVC in the first year of competition. So we know that everybody's going to continue to get better. It's going to bring more, hopefully, focus onto our league. And if we start looking beyond just like the next thing, it could be a little bit dangerous. So try to live in the moment.
That actually segues into my next question. Your first year as head coach, you were in a different league. Last year, we started soccer in the OVC. Just what did you learn about the conference, and some teams you'd never played before, and bringing EIU back to the conference that all your other sports are under too?
Yeah, I think it was obviously big news when we found out that was happening. Probably about a year or two before we even thought something like that was possible. So that was great. Yeah, I love the competition. Love to be able to have these more local teams or teams within our region, and then the Texas schools bring a whole new flair to the conference, and of course Liberty too, top notch, top class team. And it's been kind of cool to know of and even have relationships with some of the head coaches beforehand in different phases of my career, and to actually be competing against one another. So even a former EIU coach in the league, and we're looking really forward to welcoming him back. Hopefully, we give him a nice EIU welcome on all levels when they get back to campus. But it's really cool. It's cool to have a conference now that we can call our own, and it just feels so much more familiar.
So if people are looking at this year's EIU roster, how does it differ from what you had last year on the pitch?
Well, I hope people still think of our roster as, just they think of our roster and they don't have any fear. I think that was a big, maybe a big point to why we could maybe accomplish a few things last year. So that's my hope as a coach for EIU, because we have no right to have any expectations here quite yet. We have no right to think that we're starting to arrive. You have to stay focused on that. The roster has a lot of newcomers, but then it also has just, I believe, just the right mix of some guys who have stayed in this program and been in this program, even with COVID years being the last year, um, up to 4 or 5 years now. And those guys have stayed here and they've seen a whole lot of different things. They've seen through 2 or 3 different head coaches. They've seen a whole lot of ups and downs, and it's great to have those guys. So the mix, it are a good amount of older senior veteran players, a good amount of younger players, and not a whole lot of middle of the road, juniors and sophomores. And I think that's just kind of speaks to the transitions within the program. But that's kind of what we'll see. We'll see some experience, and we'll see a lot of youth. So.
So, we're in preseason right now. You just mentioned, like some experience and some youth. Where is your team most advanced right now? What area of your program is it? Is it offense? Is it defense? Is it your depth, your experience? Like in the preseason, where do you feel you are right now?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, we got a lot of work to do. No matter what, as long as I'm the coach here at Eastern Illinois and the next coach and on down the line, with our lack of resources in this program, and our lack of a very most recent high level of success, we're always going to have a lot of work to do. We're always going to be the team looking up and trying to strive to just take that next step on the ladder. Um, so yeah, that's probably how I'll leave that. There's work to do in every position, in every phase, in every facet for us, and that work will continue, and it'll get more difficult. Right now, I just told the guys that this morning. It's great. We have moments where we look pretty good, but we're playing against ourselves. So it's about to change, and with that, being an experienced coach, I know that a lot of challenges lie ahead of us, and they're challenges across the board. Now, I can't really pinpoint this is going to be a bigger challenge than this. They're all going to be Herculean tasks for the guys in the group to take on, but we're excited to do it.
Are there a couple players you can highlight as maybe your players to watch that will be difference makers, you think, this year?
Well, I know everyone knows Sam, and there'll be a lot of teams. I think maybe they set up their plan around Eastern Illinois with Sam, and hopefully some of our other guys that are motivated to prove their worth. Hopefully they'll have a say in that. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have a player like Sam Eccles for sure, a captain, a leader, a top goal scorer. But what we're hoping that it makes even more dividends for the rest of our team on an individual and a collective basis. I think Felipe Kerr, Lorenzo is a very solid player in midfield for us. He's also he's going to be another 5th year player for us, and he kind of makes things go, connects the lines, does that, and a strength of Eastern Illinois. And I think it has been a strength for a long time. When I was an assistant here, we had a couple really good ones. Is the goalkeeping position. And last year, if we had any right to have a dream of getting to the playoffs and then doing something in the playoffs, it was all based on our goalkeepers. It's obvious from advancing on penalties. I think our goalkeeping group, not just one. We have 4 goalkeepers on the roster, and they're all very, very talented, and they all bring something. But their ability last year to stop penalties, I think it was something like 5 stops and 9 penalties when you count the shootout game. It's just you have to have that in the mix, and all 4 of those goalkeepers return for us. So we're excited about that.
Tell us a little bit about your schedule, the non-conference portion, and how it'll help prepare you to enter conference play.
Schedule's different this year. From an exhibition standpoint, we go and play some teams from other levels, which I came to Eastern Illinois having NAIA experience and Division III experience. So I know there's some really talented schools out there that when you take those games as a bigger school, we're bigger only by the Division I in front of our name. We're certainly not bigger in scholarships. We're not bigger in resources. A lot of these schools we're playing at, honestly, every school on our schedule, whether they're NAI, they all have more resources than we do. So we got to be up for the challenge, and to take a couple exhibition games against an NAI, a JUCO, and then start the season against a very good championship caliber Division III team. I think that's actually more of a challenge for a group, Division I group you're trying to get off the ground and trying to strive for betterment, because there shouldn't be, but there's more pressure in those games because everybody just looks at the thing next to your school's name and your division, and a lot of people are misled by that and about how talented some of these schools are. Last year we started with a really good Bowling Green team in the exhibition schedule, and that posed a very big challenge for us. This year we start with teams from other levels. I would highlight that Bowling Green game, though. We go back to them in September, right before our conference season starts, and they're just very talented, playing a very good Missouri Valley Conference. They're always right there. If they're not in the NCAA tournament, they're always right there, beating a lot of quality teams and making their case. So what a game for our guys as we get ready to go into the OVC, to have to travel to BG and play there in front of a rowdy student section and all that. So that's exciting for us in the non-league. And then of course everything for a program in a school like Eastern Illinois, everything kind of feeds into the OVC conference. So that's the biggest thing on our plate. But we have some work to do before we get there. So.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time this morning, and just best of luck to you and your team as we enter the 2024 season.
Thank you so much. Appreciate what you do.